Hello, this is The Pride. Today we will meet a woman about whom you might have heard, and she's a strict teacher and mentor, an iron lady, a tough person, and even that she's a capricious, cold diva. However, I find my interlocutor very delicate, smart, interesting, and with a great sense of humor. So, get ready to meet Altynai Asylmuratova, artistic director of the ballet troupe of the Astana Opera Theatre. Is it worth mentioning how difficult it was to find a window in the busy schedule of the artistic director? But finally everything was agreed and I flew to the capital to go to the theater on a frosty day which I had already managed to love so much. Altynai Asylmuratova was born on January 1st, 1961 in Almaty. Ballet dancer and teacher, soloist of the Leningrad Opera and Kirov Ballet Theatre, Mariinsky Theatre, prima ballerina of the English Royal Ballet and the Marseille Ballet. People's Artist of Russia, laureate of the State Prize of the Russian Federation, artistic director of the Academy of Aganova Russian Ballet in 2000-2013, since 2015 artistic director of the ballet troupe of the Astana Opera Theatre, since 2016 rector of the Kazakh Academy of Choreography. Husband Konstantin Zaklinsky, ballet dancer and teacher. 1983 honored artist of the RSFSR. 1998 laureate of the Baltica Theatre Award. 1999 laureate of the Golden Spotlights Theatre Award for the performance of Carmen in the ballet of Roland Petit. 2001 People's Artist of the Russian Federation. 2001 laureate of the State Prize of the Russian Federation in the field of literature and art. 2013 Cavalier of the Order of Friendship. 2016 Cavalier of the Parasite Order. We met on a winter day in the theater to talk about art and the ups and downs of fate, love of ballet and favorite parts. From the first glance in the gait and posture of Altynay Abdurakhimovna, one can see not just ballet training but build of a prima, lightness, confidence, grace. She's got everything. I involuntarily wanted to straighten up my back and crane my neck. Speaking of your appearance, you look like many ballet dancers. You look like a young girl. Are there any special secrets of this subject, or is it just genetics? Well, probably first of all, of course, genetics. I think so. Secondly, a profession, because we're constantly moving. Movement is life. And probably circle of friends, because we always communicate with young people. We are in the same environment with them. We speak the same language. It also rejuvenates from the inside. Then probably the attitude to life. For example, I do not know how old I am. You prefer not to remember this, not to think about it. And why do I have to? I take notes in my head. Yes, it seems to me that it is a great luck to learn from this grand lady of wisdom, at least in such an express mode. How to find this harmony? It's not so simple, is it? Well, yes, it's probably not easy. It's such a comprehensive question, even I would say philosophical. How do you feel about life, and what do you want from life? I love life. My attitude to life does not change from the conditions in which I live. I'm glad that I breathe, walk, that I have both my arms and legs. The main thing is the family. Relatives are healthy, they live, and this is the most important thing. The rest is secondary things. Having a favorite job provides a surge of energy. Family gives me an incentive to try. After all, it's so important for us that we should try for someone, right? Those people for whom you will overpower yourself, even when you do not want to. Because if not for these people, then I would have long since collapsed. But when you feel that someone needs you, it's good. That is, as long as someone needs us, we do not age? I think so, especially creative people, you see. They live in the theater. After all, this is their life. Art people experience this difference, this life shift. when you were needed, is in demand, and now it is no longer. Some people do not cope with this transition because the career has come to an end, but one has not managed to establish a personal life, or if they cannot switch, cannot find themselves in another sphere, this is always a very painful transition. For example, even for ballet dancers, ballet is an art of the young, right? We begin to learn ballet at the age of 9 to 10. At the age of 17 to 20, a career begins, and at 37 to 40, everything ends. Because man is not able to go against nature, because ballet is the art of the young, and it's very difficult when your life, to which you devoted yourself, ends, in which you lived all your conscious years. And finding yourself in something else is very difficult, and it's especially difficult if there's no such reliable rear as a family. Altynai Asylmuratova lived a very large and vibrant stage life. She had almost all the most desirable ballerinas parties: Swan Lake, Giselle, La Bayadere, The Nutcracker, Scheherazade, Carmen. Even the most famous productions in which Asylmuratova was engaged can be listed for a very long time, and if you add here experiments with modern choreography and lesser-known performances, it is almost infinite. And after all this is by no means at the back of the great ballet art. On the contrary, the best scenes of the world obeyed her. It probably was quite difficult to finish such a bright career. In my case, it all went off somehow painlessly because I set myself up in advance. I didn't want to dance until they smiled in my face and then turned away and said, when she already stops dancing, it's time for her to leave. Therefore, it is better to leave earlier. I had this principle. It is better to leave a year earlier than 2 days later. So I just wanted to ask about this. How did you feel about this moment? Do you think that you have chosen this moment successfully? Because people believe that you left at the peak of your career. It was exactly what I wanted. I wanted so that I could still dance. And besides, my situation was a little non-standard. I did not think that I would be invited to lead the Academy of Russian Ballet, as if I didn't want and didn't see myself there. I wanted to be a tutor. I wanted to transfer all my experience to young ballet dancers. I wanted to continue working in the theater as a tutor. Olga Moiseyeva instilled this desire in my time. Thank her very much. Not only did she put me on my feet, she also taught me tutoring. She instilled in me a taste for tutoring, like an artist. I thought that I would continue my activity, as it were. Well, it so happened that when I was 39 years old, they took me to the Academy of Russian Ballet. It happened, so it was destined. Altynai Asylmuratova was born into a truly ballet family, and her childhood passed within the walls of the Gatob. The life of her parents, grandparents was inextricably linked with ballet. Consider father, honored artist of the Kazakh SSR, Abdurakhim Asylmuratov, was a soloist of the Gatob and later the artistic director of the Almaty Choreographic School. Grandfather was the main choreographer of the Almaty State Conservatory. The mother of the future prima, Galina Sidorova, was born in Leningrad, got into the Gatob troupe during the years of evacuation. Here she met Abdurakhim, got married and remarried in Almaty, where Altynai was born. Firstly, I was lucky to be born in this particular family where everyone was engaged in ballet. I grew up in the theater. Our family was mixed: Kazakh father, Russian mother. Grandparents also danced. They are from Petersburg, and my mother graduated from the St. Petersburg school, the best Baganovskaya school. Dad interned there. Therefore, it so happened that I ended up in Leningrad, or St. Petersburg. In general, I believe that art has no nationality. Art unites people, and especially the art of ballet. Since we're silent, it is probably difficult for dramatic actors. They need a translation, probably, and ballet art does not require translation. That is, All this is understandable in any language anywhere in the world, therefore art is a certain world. It would seem that her destiny would have been predetermined from an early age, but no, the girl's parents didn't want a harsh ballet fate for her. Because they, like no one, knew what a difficult art it was. Very difficult, and not the fact that something will come off you. You will start at age 9. There are no guarantees how your fate will turn out. And from childhood I was taken to the theater. I grew up there. All my childhood I spent in the opera and ballet theater. Parents danced at the Abay Theater in Almaty. I remember that atmosphere and of course getting used to it. It was difficult for me to imagine myself in another field of activity. Yes, I had no idea. These conversations, these ballet dancers, companies, the smell of makeup, costumes, performances. Of course, this influenced my choice. I was still doing music at the same time. My parents wanted me to continue my musical career. I played the piano. Moreover, the teachers praised me and I liked it. I loved to play and even composed a little myself. But when I had a choice, ballet or music, I had to decide. Either I play ballet or the piano. Then I decided to give up the piano. I just wanted to dance. And so I was sent to St. Petersburg because, first of all, there is very strict audition and they could simply not accept me, and maybe that's what parents were counting on, because we had a strict agreement: if they don't accept me, then I don't say a word about ballet. That is, I could certainly look like a spectator, but my occupation will be music. But Altynai fell in love with Petersburg, and the one whose blood was infected with the St. Petersburg wind remains with the virus forever. But the city, of course, impressed me. I immediately fell in love with Petersburg. I fell in love immediately. Because such an amount of beauty everywhere. You go into some small street, there are some historical buildings, some museums. All of this is buried in verdure. This, of course, is beauty. And I wanted to prove that I have the right, that I did the right thing, that I'm worthy to study at the best school, despite the fact that I can't say that I was born with fantastic talent. And again, there are assurances that without hard work, it is impossible to succeed, even if nature gave you an unprecedented talent, but without a talent, there's nothing to do in ballet. Of course, especially in ballet. Still, the requirements for the appearance are too high, because you might want it really bad. You might be very smart and understand your tasks, but if physics does not allow you, you understand that ballet is an aesthetic art. And when you look at a ballerina, what kind of ballerina do you imagine? A small head, a thin figure, long legs, long arms, but not every girl has such a figure. Well, in addition to a certain constitution of the body, it is worth considering the special attitude and understanding of which art requires. It is very important. And of course, you need to love your job, because we talk about ballet, it's a constant exhaustion of yourself. Nothing is given for nothing. You see, since we have to break ourselves since childhood, we need to do something with ourselves all the time. It's a pain. Sometimes it's boring to do the same exercises, it's hard, it's every day. You can't relax, and not everyone can stand it. It is not a childish performance for mom and dad. No, these are strict requirements. This is a tough school. And then every year the program gets more complicated, more and more. No, certainly, there should be some kind of talent, some kind of involvement in art, understanding, and a good head. Oddly enough, there used to be an opinion that ballet dancers are not very smart, but in our art, literally everything depends on the head. That is, we directed our body, we must listen to the music, we must understand acting tasks, we must think. Altynai Asylmuratova is not the first ballerina among our people who managed to win the hearts of connoisseurs by performing on one of the most demanding stages in the world, on the stage of the Mariinsky Theater. After all, as was sung in the famous song, in the field of ballet we are ahead of the rest. Of course, we are talking about the very Russian ballet school. If we talk about the Russian ballet school, it is certainly great. Because it has long been proven a huge cohort of brilliant dancers, world stars who have become famous both in the West and in the East, everywhere. This is a proven school, but of course time goes by and some additions are made. This is not a dead formula, a hardened form, but this is a definite base. A base that is proven, but you can add some new attributes to this base. Now a modern ballet is developing, right? Before, when I was in school, there was no modern dance. And now this is a necessity because many troupes include modern, neoclassical and contemporary performances in their repertoire. That is, you must own this plastic. This is also a certain school. The requirements are, of course, tougher now. Because if we look at photographs, for example, ballet dancers of the 19th century, and compare them with modern ballet dancers, of course, the bodies of current ballet dancers are even more taut. So teachers weren't tougher in the past than they are now. The requirements are tougher, even requirements on candidates' physique. Then earlier, for example, in the time of Tsarist Russia, it was indecent for a dancer to raise her legs high. Therefore, their ballet skirts were hanging down. For example, in my school, there was such an old, wonderful teacher, methodologist. She didn't really like when we tried to stretch, especially when we did the splits. She said, "You're not going to work in the circus. Or are you going to work at music hall? You keep your legs right." Times are changing, standards are changing, attitude to the educational process, to training has also changed. Discussions about which methods and approach are more effective, old school or innovation, we can hear them everywhere, and definitely not only in ballet. When you're working with young dancers now, you say that you recharge from their youth, energy and so on, but are there any such moments when, in our days, we didn't act like that, we were more disciplined and so on? Do you feel it sometimes? Yes, I do. But I'm very happy that we were brought up correctly. We were educated correctly and the right reflexes were invested in us. What I'm trying to do here right now, to plant this culture here, to teach them an attitude towards their job, because ballet is primarily a discipline. There can be nothing without discipline. This is discipline and self-discipline. I have to organize myself, not someone else should make me do it, but me, myself, I cannot do otherwise. That is, if I come to a rehearsal, I must be prepared. I have to have shoes, I have to be dressed properly, my hair has to be done. We were brought up like that. A certain culture, which can be left out, should be inherent in both artists and spectators. There was a time when this was not endowed and was by default, but that was at a time when art was the domain of niche player. This is a culture, for example, say hello in a special way. Do not just nod in passing, but stop and make Nixon. These traditions have long been going on. They must be maintained. Attitude to the scene. For example, you can't eat on stage. You can't walk around the stage in street shoes. It's indecent. Enter the outer clothing and hat. That is, these are the reflexes that remained in us. It's inconvenient for us to go against them. We take off our shoes if we suddenly come in street shoes. That's right, because we were educated in this sacred attitude to the theater. A theater is not a building, it is a temple of art that we serve. We serve as priests, a sacred attitude to the scene. This distinguishes cultural people. They should behave like that. And yet, no matter how strict and attentive Asylmuratova is, as a mentor, first of all, we know her as a great artist, speaking of which, both masters and critics have always noted not only amazing lightness and sophisticated technique, but also amazing acting abilities. Of course, I danced a lot of roles, but not all of them, and to be honest, I rarely find myself feeling that I wouldn't mind dancing something particular. Very rarely, but it happens. Well, for example, I didn't have the opportunity to dance Kylan's choreography. I really like him as a choreographer. Here is something like that. I think sometimes I would like to dance. I just feel his music and I want to dance, to learn this plastic. And so, in principle, if we talk about the classics, I danced almost everything, and also I added something from the Western repertoire because I had happiness and the opportunity to work with them. What performances remain forever, the most beloved, the most dear? It is very difficult to single out one thing. I find it difficult somehow because, you know, every performance is a stage. If we talk about the first performance, for me it was the Swan Lake. My first performance. I was a leading ballerina. Yes, it was a special day for me. The next performance was Giselle. This was also a special stage because before there was such a thing as not your role, and they told me, this is not your role. I was told that Giselle is not my role, but I wildly wanted to. You know, when something is forbidden to you, you want it even more. So I really wanted to dance Giselle. I almost lived this role through myself, really wanted to, but I didn't even hope that I would ever happen to dance Giselle on the Mariinsky stage, where there were a lot of folk stars, and it turned out that I entrusted this role. It was an important event for me, a big step. Then there was the La Bayadere. It was one of my teacher's favorite and best performances. She entrusted me with this role with such love, and because of this, her attitude, this performance also became very important for me. Therefore, we can say that something special happened at each performance. Then the first performance after the birth of my daughter. To be honest, my life is divided before the birth of the child and after, the biggest division. Then, when I went west, I danced for the first time in Covent Garden, also an important event. That is, something happened all the time and it always brought some kind of miracle, I don't know. It's even difficult to me emotionally to put it in words, but inside me something seemed to be turning over. Do you understand? Because when, for example, you see Roland Petit and then you stand next to him, it's hard for me to explain what was going on inside me. Something was happening. I don't know. It felt as if you were admitted to a celestial person somewhere and you have this opportunity and that person is talking next to you. he is inviting you somewhere. That is, in general, it is amazing. This is not just awesome, and haven't you ever, just for a moment maybe you have thought that since you're there beside him, it means that you too. I have never put myself on par with them, never. These are special people, these are godlike people for me. I never set myself on the same level with them. I was just happy to be next to them. When I was invited there, everything I wanted was to learn from them as much as I could. I did not want to say, this is me, see, I'm here. But I wanted to learn something new from this Western school, some nuances, so I traveled a lot. I made myself do it. Because you have to try. There's something in this. It enriches you. I wanted it. But I never put myself close, not on the same level with them. I just was grateful to them that they treated me like that. Really warm. Roland Petit, Zizi, and Kenneth Macmillan, for me, it's like a reward. Yes, just like that. Altynai Asylmuratova's husband, honored artist of the Russian Federation Konstantin Zaklinsky, has been with his wife for many years, both on and off stage. Now he also works with young artists in the capital's theater, and it is not surprising that Altynai calls him her best partner. Well, one partner is still with me, and it's my husband. On the one hand, it was always very difficult for me to rehearse with my husband, but on the other hand, it was always easy to dance. It was nice. There were also a lot of partners. All my partners are very good, very good. And with whom I worked in the West, I'm also very grateful to them. Such attentive guys, and I also learned a lot from them. We had such an interesting, friendly relationship. They wanted to help me, I wanted to help them. That is, we had such a very pleasant atmosphere. I don't remember a single time that I had problems with a partner. Never. That is, all these ballet intrigues that they love to show in movies, it depends on the person. I can't remember a single incident. Not even once. Well, I have even more reasons for frequent visits to the capital. Astana Opera was among my favorite theaters before, and now I will look at the stage with double attention. Moreover, for artists, the attitude of the public is very important. The public is different everywhere. I do not mind that people come to the theater wearing sneakers. The main thing is how you behave in the auditorium. Because frankly, there is a small problem. In Almaty, well, Almaty, after all, is a more theatrical city. There may be such a well-educated public, and here the audience still needs to be educated. We are very glad that people come to watch us. The more, the better, but we still need to educate them. Firstly, now there are a lot of all kinds of shows. They must understand that theater is a completely different thing. There are rules here. How to behave, that you can't be late, also you're not allowed to film us. Both the stage must have the highest culture, and the audience should also understand where they came from. Where did they go to? They must enter this atmosphere. Why is this theater really brilliant, very beautiful? And that's what you do when you come here. They come not only to watch performances, they come just to be in this atmosphere. Because, well, it is like a fairy tale. You go there to escape from everyday life, to come into another world. You just go into a fairy tale. More than once we will happen to return to the fairy tale of Astana Opera. I say goodbye to you until new episodes of Pride. Together, let us be proud of the successes of our compatriots, align with their high standard, and enjoy new victories and achievements. See you soon.